Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place where we discuss all things USMNT, La Selección Mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, how you doing, man?
I'm doing, dude. Ready, excited for MLS. I have the, as you know, I got the MLS pass on Apple TV, so I'm getting ready, dude. It's about to be opening weekend. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you're one of the 10 people that has the MLS pass on Apple TV. To be fair, you had Apple TV, so you just went ahead and decided
It
that
was easier, yeah.
you're gonna jump ship and kind of give it a chance this season. Let's hope they do well. I mean, production value is high, and they actually make it worth your money, man, because that ain't cheap.
They said no blackouts.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens when the Texas storms hit. Well, anyway, yeah, this episode we're going to be discussing and previewing the new MLS season, as you said, which it starts Saturday, February 25th, season, for year 2023. We're going to be discussing in this episode our dark horses, our favorites, who to watch, just our thoughts on the season. As take this with a grain of salt. We're not the biggest MLS watchers, but we'll give our thoughts and opinions here. So let's just jump right into it, man. Obviously, as we know, the current champions are LAFC out of the Western Conference, won their first title last season. And let's just start on the Western Conference. Let's start with LAFC. They also, aside from winning the championship, they won the Supporter Shield, which, as you know, and as to everybody that's listening, in case you don't know, that is the award, the trophy given to the team that at the end of the regular season accumulates the most points. So it's not necessarily always the winner of the MLS Cup that gets it, but in this instance, it just so happens that LAFC were the champions, but they were also the team that accumulated the most points. So I guess deserved champions at the end of the day. One of the big losses here was something we've been kind of following on Liga MX. They lost one of their starting players and one of their stars in Cristian Arango to Pachuca. So that was I know that made big headlines in the MLS media as to when the MLS sells players to Europe, it justly makes big media headlines. But I guess when it sells players to Liga MX, its competitor, it also seems to generate headlines. And they also lost Gareth Bale, to retirement, though, let's be fair here, they didn't really play him much last season. But he did come in clutch at the when it mattered in the MLS Cup final to send it to penalties and to kind of win the title for LAFC. What do you think? Do you think these guys still looking strong for the next season?
I mean, they're not shy of showing, their economic prowess in any way. If anything, at least in the last few years, they have been the team with the most. I don't know if it's been the team with the most or the biggest signings, but they are not shy at all. To flex that specific attribute of the team. I think it will be again the team to beat. Not not only on the Western Conference, but in the entire MLS. Bale must be gone, but I think they also gone that guy Wanga, who seems to be fitting in well in the team. According to the latest results from the friendly against Toronto, they win 2-1, and he contributed to that win on the most recent preseason game. So he scored the first goal. Well, actually, he scored both goals for this game. So it seems that the Gabonese player, the Gabonese international player, it's sitting well. So we'll see if Carlos Vela can keep up with that magic, dude.
Yeah, man, you brought up the Gabonese player. It's like, it shocks me how many international players play in the MLS. Like, you got people from all over the place. Yeah. And you got them like, they also represent their countries. Like, you got a lot of Africans here that represent like Ghana or South Africa and stuff like that. And Eastern European country players, South Americans. It's pretty universal at this point.
It's very varied. Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, kind of staying in the LA area, little north to I think it's north to Carson, LA Galaxy. It's another team I have here to watch. Not necessarily because I think they'll do well, just because it might implode on them in the league.
Yeah.
They're currently in a very bad situation with their fans. The fans are kind of protesting the start of the season, saying they're not going to show up to the games until the owners spend more money and spend money on good players, and until they get rid of the president, Chris Klein, who used to be, before he retired, a player for Galaxy. It's looking just like a cluster mess out there, to put it lightly, in Galaxy.
Dude, it's a dumpster fire if you ask me, dude.
Yeah.
It's it's not looking well. Things are not boding well for them. And then on top of that, you have players who are aging and are not necessarily gonna be or gonna improve on the performance. You have Chicharito, who's about to turn 35, uh, which I guess it doesn't really matter in MLS. You can still be an old player and perform. And he did have a decent season last season, so we'll see if he can keep up with that. But then you have the likes of Ricky Push, who is supposed to be, a star of the team, and I
Yeah.
think he last season he was, doing all right, and then all of a sudden he just dwindled down. Um, so I don't know. He is he still needs to show that Ricky Push level that made him push through La Masia and star in Barcelona. But I doubt we're gonna see it, dude. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. What's the desenlace of this story named LAXC. I don't foresee. Sorry, not LFC, LA Galaxy. I don't foresee any good news coming their way.
Talk about Push. It's funny because he made a comment like a month ago, saying how uh, he doesn't like playing in the States because it's so boring. There's no partying. The
Oh,
party scene's horrible. You have to drive everywhere, and it's a lot different from Europe, obviously. So I guess he's just here to party, but unfortunately, he's not finding too many good ones, I guess. Um, the next team I kind of want to kind of cover here while we're staying in the Western Conference is Austin FC. One of local one of the local teams here in Texas where we're at. They reached the Western Conference Finals last season, and they ended up losing to the eventual champions, LAFC. They were second in the West, fourth overall, and if they're able to do how they did last season, I think they could be one to watch. They had a shakeup in the front office. Sporting director Claudio Reina resigned after the whole Claudio Reina parents thing that we've kind of talked about in great length. Check out those
yes.
videos if you want some drama, soccer mom drama. But yeah, I know how much you love Austin FC. So what do you
Hell no, dude.
what do you see for
I
them?
mean, they have definitely improved from their beginning in MLS. I see them to be a challenger for the Western Conference for sure. The fact that they were able to retain Sebastian Drusi, and they have now Gyasi Sardes, who is a staple of MLS.
Yeah,
Um, it seems that they are making their team more robust in a lot of ways. So I anticipate them to be an interesting team to watch. Even though as much as I don't really like them, I have my take with them. Uh, but yeah, I think the likes of Julio Cascante, who is a defender um, for Austin FC, will be like the. I think he was named the Mr. Reliable by the MLS. Uh, Mr. Reliable for Austin FC by the MLS. So it will be interesting to see if they can keep up with that challenge on the Western Conference. Let's see if they can keep up that momentum going. It is, a fairly new, one of the latest franchises to join MLS. So I like the one thing that I like about the teams of the likes like Austin FC is that even though it's a young team, they're doing whatever they need to be relevant on the league.
right.
When you compare it like to Salt Lake City or freaking Colorado Rapids, who have essentially just been, I guess, dwindling down for the last years, not doing much about it. When they used to be
Stagnant.
staples of MLS, uh-huh, they're very
Yeah.
stagnant right now. So I'm happy that we get to see these teams do something about it. But then again, I really don't like Austin FC. So I wouldn't mind if they, I wouldn't mind if they do, if they have a bad season for sure.
All righty. Well, sticking in the Western Conferences and sticking in Texas, going up a little north of Dallas. FC Dallas is kind of a team that is like not fun to watch. Doesn't really play attractive football. Doesn't fill the stadium. Just exists. Has a stadium in Frisco, freaking an hour away from Dallas. Um, but they're pretty consistent. They usually always get in the playoffs or close to it. They're usually in the top 4 or 5 places. Last year they third overall in the Western Conference. They lost to Austin FC in the West Conference semifinal.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Hmm.
they're just a team that hasn't been able to make that final jump. From being a team that it's playoff caliber to being a team that goes to the MLS Cup and wins it. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to finally step it up and make that winning jump. And they, like I said, they usually compete. They've been able to keep their star player Jesus Ferreira. So he's still there, going to be leading the lines. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table this season.
To me, FC Dallas is like, similar to Pachuca or what Atlas used to be back in the day. It seems like it's a seeder for the USMNT for young talent to come up the ranks. I can see why it's a very I guess plain
Yeah.
team in the MLS, specifically because of the reasons that you mentioned, having a freaking stadium an hour away from the city and not necessarily, I guess, doing or going the extra mile to make sure that people are following them in a regular basis. But I was reading around, and there's 3 players that I think we should be paying attention to. During I know that FCL had a camp in Spain, and I would say the likes of Nolan Norris, uh, Giovanni Jesus, and Jader O'Brien are 3 youngsters that well, no, I guess Jader O'Brien is not a youngster, but he's one of those players who we should be on the lookout. He This is the 3rd season in MLS with 11 goals and 8 assists to his name. So let's see if he can increase that tally. Giovanni Jesus, he's 21. He actually came from Cruzeiro in Brazil, which is we continue to see more South Americans joining MLS for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And Nolan Norris, who is a 17-year-old homegrown defender for FC Dallas. So those 3 players, I will say, those will be the ones to follow up. And I see FC Dallas being a challenger for the Western Conference like they were last year. And I really hope that this time they make it all the way to the finals. I think it's deserved.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. They're a feeder team, which is probably why their fan base doesn't connect much with them and doesn't go watch them too
Hmm.
often. Right? Every year they're changing. They bring up 2 or 3 exciting young prospects every year, and as soon as they do well for a season, they get shipped off to Europe. So I
Yep.
mean, good for them for producing talent, but it's not really fun when your talent leaves for the fans. Um,
For real.
so moving to the Eastern Conference, we'll start off with Philly Union, who got second place. Lost the final MLS Cup to LAFC in the MLS Cup last season. They had a chance to win
Mhm.
it. They were up 3-2 in extra time until that super Gareth Bale world class goal. Um, decided
Classic Gareth Bale,
penalties.
dude.
Yeah, showing up
Mm.
with one touch of the ball. Um, they arguably have the best coach in the MLS and Jim Curtin. It's going to be interesting to see if they end up keeping him. He's linked. He's one of the heavy favorites for the USMNT job that's still vacant, and they've pretty much kept most of their squad intact. A squad that now has been doing really well for the past 2-3 seasons. So they're probably the favorites for the Eastern Conference again. Um, but again, there's MLS, so you could be a favorite, and anything can happen.
That is true. I mean, unfortunately, the Union lost Aronson to Eintracht Frankfurt, which I don't think is gonna be it's not gonna make a big difference. They do have, a strong team, maybe one of the best ones in the league for sure. I have yet to see if they have like um, a big player. I know they were very active during the trade market for 2023. Um, they brought signings like the attacker from Montreal, Joaquin Torres, and the center back Damian Lowe from Inter Miami FC as trades. So I guess Curtin, sorry, it's only trying to bolster his team and ensure that he's able to have a good rotation for the 55 games of the year that the union could play, because as you know, they're also going to be playing Leagues Cup in addition to MLS. And I don't know if they're in CONCACAF. I will say yes, um, but I haven't checked yet. So we'll see, man. I mean, those two editions are good. They also have Andres Perea, um, who in early December was added to the team in a trade with Orlando City. So I'm excited. I mean, they don't. I wouldn't say that the Union is a team that is I guess, goes out there to do something different. I think they play
Mhm.
like a 4-4-2 diamond, which is common nowadays. Uh, but let's see if they can keep up that challenge, dude. I would love to see another final like we did last year.
Yeah, that was the best final I've ever seen. The best final most people have ever seen in the MLS. So that was
For sure.
definitely, if every game can be like that, I'm sure more people would be following the league.
I mean, that says a lot about the strikers that you bring to the league, but it talks poorly about the defenders and the
Yeah,
keepers for sure.
you're right.
Uh-huh.
Another team I kind of want to mention here is New York Red Bulls. Kind of pass over them quickly here because they're really similar to Dallas. I feel a team that has a stadium outside of New York City. I think they're in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Um, they have yet to be able to take that final step as well. They're always kind of big competitors. They always qualify for the playoffs. They made it to the MLS Cup a
yeah.
couple times previously in previous years, but they have just yet to be able to take that final push, that final step to win it. And again, like Dallas, they're probably the equivalent as the feeder team in the Eastern Conference. They send a lot of players to Europe, especially to the other Red Bull teams, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see them how far they can go. Like Dallas, they always come up short. So I think I'd rather see them win it than I'd see Dallas win it, just because these guys, man, have. I think they were one of the first teams, if not like initially when the league started, they were one of the first teams in the league.
That is
Um,
true.
so poor
And
bastards have never
they
won
had
it.
Thierry Henry at one point, which was
Rafa
it was
Marquez.
really interesting to see. Yeah, Rafa Marquez too.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I kind of sort of like the Red Bull teams just because they all follow the same philosophy: chaos, be fast paced, quick. But unfortunately, that also comes in with not having a lot of consistency in keeping their coaches for a long run. It's always a situation of every now and then they will change coach, so just so as long as it adapts to their philosophy, right?
Right.
I don't really recall a specific player right now. I know they just changed coach recently. They signed a new coach, maybe like a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, bring it on. It's one of those staples of MLS,
Mhm.
and just like you, I really hope that we get to see him more often on the finals, and they keep on producing young talent.
Yep. And the last one I kind of want to cover here before we move on to who we think will be the dark horse of the season is Inter Miami. Phil Neville's third season in charge. David Beckham's the owner. That's his buddy from Manchester United from England. Um,
Yeah,
Last year they made their first appearance in the playoffs. They got knocked out the first round. Uh, but they qualified as one of the final spots, I think. They did lose their star forward in Gonzalo Higuain. He retired. Um, I feel that's like Gary Neville's make it or break it year. Yeah, he made it last year, which this is probably what saved his job last year. He made it to the playoffs, but now Beckham and the owners are going to be looking for, hey, we need to make it further. We need to at least make conference finals. I think. Um, like LA Galaxy, like LAFC, like NYCFC, they're one of the bigger markets and they're one of the bigger teams that splash money around. So for them
Yeah.
to have never made it to the playoffs until last season, and to not really go far in the playoffs, that says a lot. So I think it's the make or break year, and for Phil's sake, they have to make it pretty far.
I mean, they did bring Joseph Martinez, who I think that was a bold move for Inter Miami. I wasn't aware that, or I didn't really realize that Pipita Higuain retired from Inter Miami. I guess it was a lackluster retirement, anyways.
Yeah,
um, yeah, he really sucked ass in Inter Miami, but
I
big
know,
time. And same thing with Blaise Matuidi. I think everyone who goes to every big player that goes to Inter de Miami, they just suck, man, for some
dude.
reason.
I forgot my Tweety was at Inter Miami. Is he still there?
hmm I don't think so. I don't know. But even Rodolfo Pizarro, who left Monterrey for Inter de Miami, in
Yeah.
hopes that going to MLS will propel him to a European career. I don't know what happened, dude, but he went to Inter de Miami and he just retired. Silently retired. He silently quit football. He came back to
Wow.
Rayados and he sucked big time. And I don't know what about what's gonna happen with him. Rayados didn't want to exercise the buy option,
Hmm.
and he was supposed to go back to Inter de Miami. But from what I read was that Inter de Miami told him like, look, we don't plan to have you as a squad team member. So I don't know if he's gonna go somewhere else or if he's gonna just stay and train and be a reserve player for Inter de Miami. But damn, I mean, I agree with
Yeah.
you. This will be the year for Gary Neville's side to you know show some grit, put their money where their mouth is, and do something with it.
Yeah, what a drop in level for Pizarro, huh? I mean, that sucks. So yeah, when he went back to
Mhm.
Monterrey, he sucked ass. And yeah, I'm looking at Matuidi, and it looks like he retired as well. So I guess
Dude,
that's where
I mean, I
dreams
don't.
go to die at Miami.
I mean, I wouldn't mind my dreams then dying in Miami. Don't get me wrong, and making millions, but geez, that has to, someone is the salado out there, dude. I don't know if it's David Beckham or if it's Neville, but
Yeah,
something is not working for these big stars.
they're probably partying too much, honestly. South Beach.
I guess so. Hmm.
Alrighty, man. Well, let's go over quickly here some dark horses. It's MLS, so who the hell knows who's going to be a dark horse? It feels like every year you can just throw a dart and see who is going to be the dark
Yeah.
horse. But if I had to choose, I'm gonna choose Inter Miami just because I think it's finally, like I said, make it or break it, and I'm gonna say they're gonna make it. Not gonna win it, but I think they can make it far, make the conference final, and I don't think they'll make the final, but I think it'll finally click for them. Who do you got as a dark horse?
So, out of the MLS teams, I think if I have to go for one team, not for the dark horse, but if I had to support one team, I think it's gonna be the Portland Timbers. But I'm gonna go full throttle, dude. I'm gonna commit to this. I'm gonna go with Sin City, bro. I gotta go with Cincinnati just because of my boy Brandon Vasquez. Here we go. He's gonna make it. I'm telling you, dude. He's gonna make something about it. He's gonna make a stand. He's gonna take Sin City all the way to the final. And if it doesn't, you'll see me here as a clown, but it wouldn't be the first time. So
Yeah, man, we're used to wearing that red nose. All
yeah.
right, well, let's see who makes it, Cincinnati or Inter Miami. We'll see each other here in a year's time, less than a year's time, and prove both
Mhm.
of us wrong. So predictions, real quick. Worst record. Who do you think is going to have the worst record? I'm from Houston, so I'm gonna go ahead and say Houston Dynamo. Our team sucks ass, and I don't see that changing. So RIP.
I would say someone from Canada, either Vancouver or Montreal. Um, yeah, I don't see them doing anything about it this season.
All right, fair, fair. Who do we think supporter shield best record in the league regular season? I have NYCFC. I just think they're usually pretty consistent, and either them or LAFC, but I'll go with NYCFC just for consistency.
Yeah, I'll stick with LAFC on this one.
All right. And for champion, I have LAFC to repeat back to back.
Damn. I mean, that's kind of an easy choice, but I'm gonna go big on this one, dude. Sin City's gonna win it. They're gonna take it. I'm telling you, you gotta believe in Brandon Vasquez.
And go put a $5 bet on that right now. I wonder how much that's paying. All right. Well,
best investment in my life.
Yeah, best. No kidding, man. And go put one on Austin FC as well.
I'll never do.
All righty, man. Well, that's our predictions, our kind of recap of preview for the MLS season 2023. Yeah, like Adrian said, follow it on Apple TV. But we'll be giving I don't think we're necessarily going to be giving our weekly updates to it, but any big news, any big transfers, any big games, we'll definitely discuss here on PPG. So make sure to follow us. Adrian, where can our listeners find us, man?
If they want to see our pretty faces, dude, they can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If they are just happy with listening to our pretty voices, they can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or any other podcast service they're a subscriber on.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform. And yeah, we'll be here on the next one. Adrian, this has been another great one with you, man. Another fun one. See you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy.
See you, man.